Yo, what's good, man? I just wanted to go over real quick why I think that we're gonna bounce tomorrow on the SPY, and if we don't bounce, probably just gonna have another little tiny pullback. But I think that we should bounce tomorrow, and the reason being is that we're breaking out of a cup and handle. When you break out of these cup and handles, the first breakout out of the handle, it clears the top of the cup, but then it always comes back down to retest the cup. So this is on a daily look. I'll bring this down to like the 15 minutes so you can see a little better. So this cup right here, this is the bigger cup that we're working out of right now. But we'll go back to this first cup that happened earlier in the year to just show you what I'm talking about. So I like to use charts. Well, I like to chart using the close of the bar. Uh, and then if I do chart using the wick, like just for instance right here, I would clone this. So let me bring this down to the top of that bar. I would bring this wick down to the top of this this horizontal line to the top of the wick, just so that you can see. I call these wick gaps. All gaps got to get filled. Wicks are gaps as well. Reason being, if you were to just take the wicks off, you can see that the gaps get bigger, and that wicks are just gaps in the price that need to be refilled. So put the wicks back on, and we use this closed top right here as the top of the cup, which it is the top of the cup. Then we got the double top, which brings it down into the handle. Um, let me pull this back a little bit, and you see these points line up. But so this out of this cup and handle earlier in the year, we had the breakout from should be up here, but we had the breakout from right here. After it breaks out, it comes up. Then we'll darken this line right here, just so we can know which line we're talking about. This one right here is the top of the cup, right? As you can see, we break out, and after we break out, we come right back to the top of the cup to bounce on it. Now it broke down under the cup, but then it came right back up. But then it broke down under the cup again. Now the second time it broke down under the cup, what are we retesting? We end up retesting the breakout of the handle. So it's a possibility that in the coming days we can break down one more time and come down here to retest the break of the handle. So that would be looked at as the breakout of the handle, right? On the higher side. But if we were going from when the cup actually broke out, if we do it like this, right? I would believe that would be it, right? From when the cup was breaking down, might be just a little higher than that, right? Something like that. But if we do that one too, and we come here and we put a horizontal line right on where the breakout happened at, you can see that this is where it pinned into. So this is how you back test, retest. A retest isn't necessarily dropping back down on this same line, but it's retesting where it broke out from. So you see where this came down, and I showed you 2 points because, like I said, we can always duplicate these lines, and you see how we get two retests. We get this breakout retest here, and then we had this breakout retest down here. So now if we come to the cup and handle that we're working on right now, so like I said again, we could duplicate this line. And it's a lot going on there. We'll gonna have to triple up on this, John. And I'm not even gonna worry about that little bit there. But we want the top of the cup. So it could be either this piece is the top of the cup right here, or we can clone this again and call this the top of the cup. Now, as you see, the second top has already been tested. This top has also been tested. Now, according to what happened in the past, then we should possibly see some retests going on down here at the handle breakout before we move on. So we could possibly see a retest down here. Possibly get a retest right here. Or we could possibly get a retest right here, right? So anywhere from 409 to 407 is possibly still in play for a quick retest. And then once it retests this area, let's go back to this one in the front. Once we retest, here it is right here. Once we retested the breakout, then this took off, came back and retested the top breakout or the top level of the cup and handle. Boom. After it broke out of it, because this is another breakout, right here. So now we're breaking out of the cup again. Then we test this. After we tested it here, it took off. So if I'm going to do like a past synopsis or analysis of this, I would say something like this is going to happen. So I would say anywhere between these right here. So I'll put it here. Then we'll come back here, right? And we'll break out of that. Probably retest this again. Retest this top right here. And then start breaking out to the upside. To get to this 35 point, right? So that's what I think should happen over the next few days. Like I said, we got FOMC and everything else coming up. Again, I think that is just a day full of volatility, and that whatever's going to happen in the market is already predetermined. So if this happens tomorrow, I would think Wednesday may give us a little scare, and we drop down. So if it's any type of a scare that we get, I would think that it would be this breakout right here. But hold on, let me fix this line, because technically it's way up here, right? And actually, if it was way up there, and I'll show you the reason why it's way up there. Here was the retest right here. So we're not going to come down there. So this is the retest right here. And why is it way up here? Because you start at the first point, and then it's the first three bars that you hit is where your line should go from. But this was the wedge that we made, right? So if this was the wedge we made, this was the actual breakout of that wedge, right? So this was drawn a little bit wrong. Well, not even drawn wrong. I just put the measurements in the wrong spot. And that's why you need to zoom in to like really get these measurements. But yeah, see, we got like 338, 340. You know what I'm saying? So the breakout of this should be like around 340. Um, Again, everybody else thinks it's going down. Me just looking at things from the past, I would like to think that this is where it's going first. And I have other reasons as to why I believe that it's going up higher. But I'll discuss that later on when we get closer to those points. If we get closer to those points, I should say. But yeah, so this is what I think is gonna happen. I think that we're gonna break down right now, back to down to like anywhere between 409 and 407. Take a bounce up to 415, break out of 415, hit 418, come back down to 415, the new support, and then we'll break out of here and start heading towards like 440. So that's what I think is going to go on, and probably before we hit 440, like I said, there's a gap, I believe, between like 421 and 422. So like around 420, we'll probably catch some resistance and could possibly hit 420, come back down to like 415 or 417, 418, like this area right here, and then take off again, bounce and break through this gap. Or we can go, sorry, or we can break straight through this gap, and then we could bounce like here, like after we break it, bounce on top of the gap and keep going up to the target. So that's what I think is about to go on, and how it's going to move. If none of that happens and this actually breaks back down and doesn't go back up, I would expect this just to more or less drop down, and I want to say 390 to 389, 388. Let me see real quick where I would get that from. So if I come to the daily, excuse all the drawings and stuff. If I come to the daily, boom. I'll erase this head and shoulders real quick because I need to see the bottom. I actually don't need to see the bottom on that joint. Matter of fact, I need to go to the weekly. So this was a pattern in itself, right? I just erased the head and shoulders. So I wouldn't start my pattern from there. I would actually start my new pattern from here, right? So this will be my new ascension right here. And if anything, like I said, I drew that arrow pretty on point. It would go from there and slap back down here. Now there's nothing wrong with this happening either, right? So if this happens, um, I would expect to see another cup made, right? Because then this would be sort of like a VCP pattern. I forget what it stands for. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's a volatility consolidation pattern. VCP pattern. Volatility contraction pattern, right? And how the volatility contraction pattern works, it comes up here, goes down here, comes up here, goes down here. So it just keeps making a bunch of cups. Put that back. It just keeps making a bunch of these real quick until it breaks out or breaks down. So we'll do this. Then it would do this. Then it would do this. All right. And this would keep happening until a breakout. So this is also possible, which I've never taken this off the table, but I was just working with whatever we have working here for right now. So like I said, it's a possibility that this can get stopped out right here and we end up down here at 389 for another bounce to come back up to 416, 418, something like that. And then just keep bouncing until either we this breaks down or this pops up and breaks out. But in my opinion, I don't think that this is going to happen anytime soon. Like us just coming from up here and then the market crashing like right now. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think we still have a few months left, maybe until like the end of the summertime or anything before things get out of hand, right? But that's my thought on it. So, like I said, if this breaks down to 407, 408 and doesn't pop back up here to 415 and then over 415, then that's where I would look to be worried that it's going to just drop back down here and follow this trend line up. Right? Cool. So I'll let y'all see this one more time before I close this out. Bring it down to the daily. And again, you see how I don't really have any indicators on here because you don't need indicators to trade. Indicators do help, but you don't need them to trade. You can just follow the price action. Hits the trend line bounce, hits the trend line bounce. Didn't hit the trend line, but this is a bar pattern, and this is a shooting star or falling star, whatever you want to call it. So you could use that to say that it was going down, hit the trend line, bounce, right? Made the shape. Now, one thing I can say about this is this, real quick before I get off. It's a 1 minute left. This is a cup and handle, but cup and handles that are V-shaped, sometimes they tend to fail more often than cup and handles that are rounded all the way through the bottom. So just take that into consideration, that this has more of a V shape to it. It follows all the rules of a cup and handle. If you were to do like the math on it, you know what I mean? The size of the cup to the size of the handle, it all follows the rules. But just be cautious that this is a V shape and that it could end up breaking down. And like I said, if it breaks down, I'm looking at 389, 390, 388, looking for that area before I see another bounce. All right.